Yep. Making a video actually using a stand so you guys can, whatever. Alright. Now, with the Strait of Hormuz being such a fickle bitch with so many missiles being up here, we obviously control the front of it, right? Because we have the stronger Navy. And Trump's up there. That's not, I can't control that. Don't sue me, Trump. I voted for you. Alright. That's not mine either. Don't. I'm just using the map. Don't sue me. Now, but Kharg Island, way up here, right? That is where the oil deposit for Iran mainly is. They don't have much oil up, but other than this upper, region, and definitely down in the Kharg Island, there's, it's curious they don't have a lot of coastal ports and oil rigs. Very curious, but they don't. So, with the supply of oil being strained now, all the world has been using this little itty bitty path through right there to get shipping lanes out, because right through here is pretty dangerous, right here off the tip of UAE. So they dropped a whole bunch of mines that go boom if you get close to it, right? What I would be wanting to do is I'd be getting a cheap coal barge, and not just to sink it or just to waste this. It's for an idea. I'd want the barge to be set through and set on a direct path to go all the way up and land up on the reef of Kharg Island. If we could afford it, the automatic, autonomously operate the barge full of coal all the way up there. So if it does get struck by something, the coal can help absorb the impact, right? Barges are also hollow to dump the supply, so it could take mass hits. I doubt it will sink very easily. I think a barge would stay afloat pretty easily. Now, I also know that a barge is easy to land on, and that we could easily land on it, make quick repairs, weld new outboard motors to it, crank them up, put a 500-gallon, reservoir of fuel, run a fuel line into it, just weld a rudder, and just, bumper rails it all the way up there. Saudi can help push it over to that island too if they needed, or if they wanted, because they're Saudi Arabia and all them are going to have to agree to, America to have access and use that island for a new port for oil and trade and all that. That's one of the biggest things that America's run into too, is them allowing America to have a real foothold over there. So I would, since there's so much confusion about where the mines are, no one trusts anybody, obviously, I would want to sacrifice a barge, an autonomous barge, to clear out all the confusion. We'll know exactly if there is a mine bomb there or not, because we're floating a cheap barge to, assure that there's nothing there no more. Now, America has to, for some reason, pull security for everyone else safe passage through this thing, but then they don't expect to pay us. That's the problem. America's economy is not going to raise taxes to pay for your guys' shit. That is not American coastal water, nor is it our borders. Now, with this island being in the tip of UAE and Iran, this island, I would assume, would become one of the biggest ports for, not just for repairs, but I would assume America would want to make this a repair port and a trade port. That way we had an autonomous, or we all had a piece of land that was ours, or one of the islands we would have to be able to make a port to repair ships and oil rigs. Like, we're not just going to keep sending boats over there to drop stuff off. Like, that would not be a logistical supply chain. That would be stupid. No one would ever do that. So if Iran or Saudi Arabia or any of them ever truly wanted to work with America, we would have to have land to work on. So that's what I would say, is that the best option for us to get something to build off of would be a big flat piece of metal, a barge, that you can later on post dig big posts into it, weld it to the barge, fix the barge up with a new metal base, make it nice and organized, and then build up off of it. But I wouldn't just want an expensive oil rig sent over there first thing. They like to blow oil stick. They're always blowing oil stuff up. They've went on down to Kuwait now. They've hit desalination plants, which makes their water, like, they are destabilizing this upper region and all the way from Tehran, they want Iraq, all of that. They do not want it to be operating smoothly. For some reason, these radicals think that they can just continue to steal enough supplies and have enough they think they have enough leverage to stay alive economically through pressuring oil trades. That's not even their oil trade. Like, it's very weird that there became, instead of having an export that truly, like, innovative export that isn't war, they've gone just total war, total annihilate everything. We don't want to build or work to give you something. We just want to fight. And that's what we've seen so far. They just wanted to fight, and it's not went well for them, right? Well, Trump tried to get peace, all right, because India and Pakistan, all that was blowing up. All of them boil up all the time. They just, because none of them are stable, right? They don't have a stable supply chain. That's why America would have to have a base. If they wanted new factories and new ways to build things, they would have to be through America's technology. We're the ones that gave it to China. That's why I can't believe China would backstab us after we liberated them in World War II, when Japan was kicking their ass. My grandfather was part of 345th Bomber Group, the Air Apaches. He fought in the Pacific, so I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Now, this coastal water will be contested no matter what, because of the supply chain of boats that come through here. So I would, in my interest, in America's interest, I would want a repair port and a trade port for you to come through and me to check your supplies, make sure you paid the right people, and you're paying us to make sure that it stays open, because that region thinks that they can march the masses somewhere. And I hate to say it, but in today's age, masses, without proper supply chain and education and just everything, all the way down to the back at home, they just don't have it, right? We do. And that's why America's like, we really don't want to see this, because everyone talks about not wanting to see a genocide, but wars are genocide. One side loses no matter what. It could be America. It could be, whatever it is. One side dies. That's why war wins, is because the other side is no longer able to defend themselves to talk. So there is no more talking, right? That's just for me, being a historian, watching so many things of history. I don't just talk it, I walk it. I got, I've purchased plenty of true artifacts of, our history, even to Megalodon teeth, which are my favorite. But got tons of things that I truly like geography and world politics, and I've always liked geodes and coral reefs and stuff like that. So when I realized that they were I realized that the ocean was dying at a rapid pace. That's why I started paying attention the most over there, is just because of the, when they started dragnetting up by the Red Sea, that ecosystem ruined everyone else's too up and down this coast. And this is why they're all struggling now, is because they can't figure out the fucking fish are gone. They don't that's what they've always sustained off, mostly, was a fish diet, right? was basically gone, destroyed because of rapid global expansionism. They wanted to stockpile food, preserve it, that way they had time, right? Well, thankfully, Trump was smart enough to see something like that and stopped the oil. That was the next stage for a global conflict. So everyone says that this was a start of one. I say it was the stop of one. So take it for whatever which side you want. Doesn't really matter. Either way, America's going to play their game. All right. This is a defensive game, not a game of like, woohoo, this was, they even sent J.D. Vance over in Bangladesh, try to have talks, and that completely went to shit. So you can't say that America hasn't tried, we have. But back to Card Island, I'd want to ram something cheap and strong all the way up onto that reef, and that way you have a brand new base of operations to stake down when you can, because obviously we know it's not going to be just you arrive and it's going to be easy. I think it would be a great distraction for them too, to worry about realizing that we actually had something to build off of.